Hey traders, Nick here recapping the week ending 11/9. Friday, the uh, the day is going pretty badly. We're down 1 to 2%, but the week is still green. So not a good way to end. Let me see, is this a daily? This is the S&P we're looking at. A couple of days ago we had an amazing relief rally, and it just priced itself out. So it's not the end of the world. On a weekly basis, the candles are still green, but the day is still young. So we could fall 4, 5, 600, 700%. No, jokingly. But it could get uglier from here. The VIX, the fear index, is spiking again. There are a few technical things going on. The dollar is out of control. We got bonds rallying. Gold should be rallying, but since the dollar is rallying, that's not happening. Also, the banks, we're happy into the Fed event because rates, TNX, the 10-year yield, was spiking. The XLF tends to move with it, and today is just letting it the air out a little bit. But if you look at it and eliminate some of the noise, eliminate all the headlines, and you can see that this is a nice trend, and little give back is okay. This morning I shared levels, and we sliced through a couple of them, but the big one is still below 2762, and right where my finger is, thereabouts. Why? It's pivot. So if I draw it like this easily, so I meant to do this earlier, but anyway, time ran out of me. So 2760 something. If I wanted to draw a line visually, it'll be right here, right? So we have just as much action here as here. So on the way up, you get to do this, chop a little bit, go back up. This is the important one. This is the first important one on the way down. And this zone right here is the second important one, or we'd be talking new lows. There are blind sides. The upside blind side is right around here, which is 2850. The low side blind side is like 26, somewhere around here, if not lower. So if I'm looking at the SPX 2675, I'm just going to guesstimate. This is the S&P E-minis, so close to the SPX, but not quite. All right, so bottom line is we have all the fears still here. So why is the bad day on Friday? Bad day on Friday because we started red, but totally okay. And then Navarro, I believe, who hates China on the record, and came out and decided that he wants to badger them. And he basically poked a hole in the bubble that we had going that, hey, G20 coming, President Trump and President Xi are going to sit down and hash it out. This guy came out and threw a little pipe bomb in the middle of that conversation. So that's why we're selling off. Okay, so this is the S&P. So what about the QQQ? The QQQ is heavy with Apple. Apple started the day down 2%. Now it's almost down 3%. That alone is a big heavyweight on. So this is the Q. We had an upside, we priced it out, and now we're giving back. Again, it's a higher lows, and this zone right here is still what I'm looking at. It should be support. But if the big guys, FANG and Apple, want to continue to fall lower, it could go a lot uglier than that. The one guy that I'm worried about is Netflix. This is, it might want 270. Not sure, not calling for it, but it might. The rest, Apple is Apple. And what about next week? Next week we have a few economic reports, but I think the most important one is inflation. We have a couple of those, and then we also have retail sales, I believe. Now, a note on Apple. Now, this is arguably the best company on the planet, correct? The best balance sheet, best blah, blah, blah. Well, what I'm looking at here is this little gap right here. Why is this important? Because if I draw a line from here, which is, look at this box. I don't know why I did this box, but anyway, this level here, if lost, this looks like an inverse cup and handle. And the downside target would be somewhere this big. So 175 is not out of the question. I'm not calling for it. I'm just telling you, technically, if there was no news, if this didn't say Apple here, it said XX, this would be on the table. So 197, 196. Oh, I know what that box is. Remember months ago when this happened, they said, do you want to chase Apple? I said I'd rather go along it when it got to here at 196. So That's why I did that white box. But it comes into play right in the middle of everything here. That's amazing. All right, so not calling for all these downsides, but they're there. Okay, so if I have a lot of long positions, I have to protect it. How do I protect it? With puts. Blanket puts on the SPY will cover me for most regular stocks that are in the S&P. If I'm heavy all in, like FANG stocks and NASDAQ stuff and Apple, you know, the Qs, QQQ. Now I can do the same thing with the SPX and an NDX, but they're harder to trade. The SPY is got 50-cent increments. It's cheaper, so it's easier to move left and right. The SPY is the ETF. The SPX is the actual index itself. And what we talk about here when I say the E-minis is just the futures contracts on the SPX. So I'm not changing my, nothing we learned this week is new. What's new is the Fed event is gone. So now we're back to just fearing China. So what happens with the China trade? China stocks, well, I meant to do the DIA, like the Dow gets hit hard. Boeing, I bet you, was down hard. Maybe Caterpillar was, well, check that out. Boeing is not down hard. It's down a little bit. But Caterpillar is down almost 3%. Apple is a China trade, a heavy China trade, is down 3%. So the China bubble burst today thanks to Navarro, I believe. So this is where it stands. Monday is another week. I'm still betting upside. I will go long with calls, but I'm defended. These are trades, intraday trades. I still love a lot of stocks. There's a lot of beaten down stocks. I will try to do another video on the tickers, but if you have stocks in particular you want to discuss, send them my way. Nick signing out to keep this one short.